I almost broke my nail. I'm trying out the new camera position. Why? It's a Sunday. I'm wearing a Slow Sunday Coffee Club. I bought this shirt like ages ago. Every time I want to wear it, I'm like, oh, it's a Wednesday. I can't wear it. And today I was like, it's Sunday, I'm gonna wear this shirt. As a graphic designer, a content creator, and a student, yes, I'm still a student and I'm finishing this year, my job and my daily routine requires a lot of sitting at my desk, staring at my laptop, sometimes with a hunched back. I resolved that issue with a laptop stand, which kind of like creates a perfect angle between your laptop and your desk, so you don't have to over these last couple of years, I would say precisely about 1.5 years, I've been struggling with consistent migraines. And you may think, Daria, where is that coming from? I feel like in the creative community, we're not talking enough about how our desk dependent, sitting dependent, screen dependent jobs affect our physical health. Now, I'm not saying that we're all like suffering here and it's all bad and creative jobs are detrimental to physical health and whatnot. No, I'm not saying that. Basic things are often not talked about enough. And I really do suffer with those. I feel like I've gained enough experience, as bad as that may sound, with migraines to share my experience and to give some advice on maybe how to prevent them and how to cope with a migraine attack if you have one. By no means am I a doctor. All the things that I'm going to be talking about today, purely lifestyle, personal sort of advice based. If you go through migraines and they're like really bad, like I'm about to vomit my guts out every time I get one bad, go to a doctor. In today's situation, I'm just going to be giving advice to a casual type of migraine, which is like annoying and you have to get through that. Some ways to make it a little bit less painful. Always adapt it to your lifestyle, to your personal preferences, to your needs. Take care of your body and mind so they can keep you going. So yeah, with all of that being said, let's just get into it. Yesterday, I had a migraine. But the fun part is that I knew that I would have a migraine yesterday. I don't know what the grammar is that. I predicted that. This is the first kind of little tip that I want to share with you. If you find yourself getting recurring, potentially consistent migraines, start tracking them. Now, let me explain. Around August 2024, I found this little thing on Pinterest called Year in Pixels, color-coded calendar. And I have the month in here and like every single day of the month in here from 1 to 31. Okay, every color stands for the way I spent that particular day. Pink is like a good day, red is a perfect day, purple is like a bad day. But about the orange squares, one day I had a migraine and I was like, well, this is unfair because the day sucked because I had a migraine. I cannot say that it was a bad day because I made it bad. The migraine made my day bad. So I cannot necessarily put it as a bad day in a purple circle, but not circle, square. So I was like, let me color code it in orange. It was kind of a justification of me saying that the day sucked, but it wasn't my fault. It was a migraine. And then in October, I looked at my calendar and I was like, wait, the gaps in between the orange squares look weirdly similar. And I started counting the days in between the orange squares. 98% of the time, for a month straight, it was 9 to 10 days. I was like, wait a damn minute. So you want to tell me that this is on such a consistent level that there is a potential for me to predict a migraine? From that day when I discovered this pattern, I counted the days when I would potentially may have a migraine from the previous like orange square. And guess what? It was the 18th of November where I predicted the migraine to happen, and it happened. This is very, very helpful because now I can literally plan in as horrible as this sounds, but we have to deal with that. There is nothing I can do about it. By the way, I visited a doctor and at this point there's nothing I can do about it. So don't judge me here, okay? So we just adapt, and I adapted. So every time I'm planning something like a outing or an event or a trip, I'm like, let me see what's the most optimal time to go, because I would want probably to spend that day at home by myself. So that's my first little advice. If you find yourself getting quite like often migraines, try and see if you can track them. If there's a pattern, maybe it's gonna help you live your life in a more controlled way and be more prepared for them. Okay, now that we've talked about planning, I love talking about planning, I'm gonna move on to giving you some tips how to maybe get through it a bit easier. And the first thing is discovering your triggers. These would be the smells, the sounds, the light exposure. For me personally, fragrance and perfume. If I get a bad night of sleep, the probability of me getting a migraine on the next day. The next one is related to the job. If I sit for a prolonged period of time during the day, more than 3 hours, I'm not standing, I'm not having a break. Pain. It starts with like a little pain in my neck and my shoulder, and then it kind of goes up to my head. And then it's dehydration and hunger. Me not drinking water instantly get this fog in my head. And then in terms of the self-care, what if you have a migraine on the day? How can you go about that? I love practicing things that make me feel good. I'm not a scientist here, but lack of serotonin, which is a happiness hormone that is released during like meditation, physical exercise, so something that has to do about movement, you know, like physical aspects of your being, gets blocked, I guess, and then you get a migraine. Trying to maximize those sources of serotonin and dopamine, which is another happiness hormone, what I call it a self-confidence hormone, gets released when you like achieve something, when you get through a hard task or a challenge. I really try to maximize those when I have a migraine attack, because for me, there is nothing worse than bed rotting. It really makes me feel worse. There is science behind that, okay? I'm not a scientist. Doing things makes me feel good, okay? So going on a walk, doing like yoga and Pilates. Actually, yoga and Pilates are really good. You focus on your breathing, you focus on those like movements, and you kind of like get a little bit distracted from the pain. So for me, doing all those little things helps me realize that the migraine attack, if it's not overly bad, if it's like a casual migraine, that I can get through it. When I'm having an especially disgusting migraine, I would probably lay in bed and actually try to maybe sleep. If I'm with my parents at that moment, I would ask my mom to give me a little massage, because that also helps. At those moments, I'm particularly in a vulnerable state. But on a casual basis, I'm trying to implement the daily self-care routines, and they really, really help me. Now, I've kind of already touched upon that when I was talking about yoga and Pilates. The distractions, doing something that helps you distract yourself from the pain, get yourself in a flow state. For me personally, screens make it worse, so I cannot really rely on that. But if I could, I would play The Sims for like 4 hours straight. I forget about hunger, I forget about having to go pee. Find some little routines that get you into that flow state and help you project your focus onto something else. This could be reading a very interesting book, like a fictional romance book that you just like get sucked into, you just forget about everything. Not like the sort of book where you're like looking at the pages every single time you turn a page and you're like, oh my god, like when it's gonna be over. No, I'm talking about a book that you will enjoy. Art and crafting and like handcrafting really helps, because doing something with your hands kind of projects again those senses and everything. And sometimes I just go and work. Sometimes because I want to, sometimes, most of the times, because I have to. If you also have a migraine, it's something that we have to deal with. There is a case where you have to work, you know, you have a meeting or you have a deadline. I mean, if the pain is disgusting and horrible, probably I won't work. The result is just gonna be horrible and like it doesn't make any sense. Sometimes we just have to deal with that. And also on those days when the migraine is not too bad and I go and work, and for some reason, maybe that's the dopamine release, the serotonin release, I don't know, my migraine kind of goes away. Weirdly, controversially, but it does. On the topic of distractions, yesterday I had a migraine and I booked a candle making workshop for that day ages ago with a friend. So it was like pre-planned long before that. It was like a blessing at that day. I am really triggered by fragrances and perfume, but I love essential oils. Let me show you. I have a little essential oil called Restless Mind. It's a little sample, it's like a roll-on oil, and I apply it on my neck and maybe like on my wrists and it's like pure lavender, and it really calms my mind. I use it as a fragrance as well because I don't use like perfume. I went to that candle making workshop and I made a candle and I called it Rory because I'm obsessed with Gilmore Girls, and it smells a bit weird, I'm not gonna lie. We had different options of essential oils that we could mix together. I wanted to make pure rose, but then I added something else there, and then I added something else, and then something else, and it turned into this weird mixture of different things, which I'm not sure is great, but it is what it is. The workshop was with this brand I'm absolutely obsessed with. It's a London-based candle, homeware, lifestyle brand called Earl of East. I also have their candle, this one, in a cup, and it smells like a croissant. Croissant. And the packaging is just absolutely phenomenal, and it's also not too strong, like it's kind of sweet but subtle at the same time. I'm in love with it, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it really helped me, you know, focus on the process, focus on something making with my hands. The people that were there were incredible. We laughed, we talked. The atmosphere of the store, it was inside the store. It was perfect. It was amazing. It actually did help me relieve the migraine. I don't know the chemistry in there. I don't know the biology behind that. Essential oils, serotonin, people laughing, I don't know. And I would do anything that can help me get through a migraine attack. If you get migraines and have some tips that you want to share, feel free to share them in the comments down below this video. I would love to read them. And I guess I'll see you in the next one.